Essentially, one of the things that I love the most in this world is introspection and the experience of meditation. And to that end, I have been doing quite a lot of research into all of the many different forms of meditation that exist. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions that exist around meditation, so I am going to get back into our little slideshow really quick to keep things succinct. I can. All right, so what is meditation really? I feel like we have been doing many different forms of meditation already today. And so we are in a constant state of, most especially with people like us who are interested in, holistic modalities of healing, in, in just enjoying and experiencing different forms of meditation that may not necessarily be called meditation. But the most important aspect of this is that meditation at its baseline can be considered a it creates states of holistic altered perception. And because there are many different kinds of meditation that can be with or without an additional, filter of some kind. Essentially, what that means is that we can meditate in a state that is very, very close to or slightly adjacent to our natural daily mindsets. And also, we can meditate in a way that is very far removed from our natural daily mindsets. And there's quite a lot of information on this. I feel like it's very important to me to mention the history of meditation, as I briefly did previously, to give you like a kind of foundation for this. As I said before, the history of meditation is actually very hard to track. And one of the reasons is that one of the most ancient forms of meditation is as old as we are, essentially, as modern humanity, which is flame gazing around the campfire. So, the most important thing about meditation and the reason why we're doing it at any given moment is that it's a toolbox full of different modalities, and they are meant to assist with coming into alignment with our authentic selves and the world around us, both of which are very important to the current state of our planet. So let's get into it. Now, I'm not going to get super far into this, partly because I feel like it is unfortunately a bit at odds with the, holistic bodily experience that we have cultivated up to this point. So I don't want to pull you back and get you to intellectualize this too terribly much. But I do really want to touch on this specifically because it combats this misconception that a lot of people have about meditation, which is that it is a singular thing, and it is very much not. Generally, when people think of meditation, they think of mindfulness meditation, which is a wonderful form of meditation where you can cultivate awareness in your everyday life and within the body. It's also wonderful for cultivating physical presence within the space of instead of thinking into the future or into the past, but being fully present with yourself, your body, your environment. So this often will include experiences of inside out experiences. And a lot of the meditation forms are like that, but not all of them are. Now, the reason why I bring up mindfulness is that while this is the main type that most people think of when they think of meditation, it is only one style of meditation. And as a matter of fact, it's kind of a spectrum of one different style of meditation. But that being said, there's also visualization meditation, expansive meditation, transcendental meditation, and not to be confused with like TM, but like actual trance, and concentrative meditation, and of course, embodied meditation, all of which have their place within the greater toolbox of the meditative states that we can engender at any appropriate time for different styles. Now, the reason why this is important is that the misconception that I hear a lot is that there are many people who tend to believe that they can't meditate or that they're not good at meditating or that they can't sit still. And so meditation is simply not for them. And if any of us in this group are um, in that camp, I would like to implore you that it is not true and that it may just be a factor of finding a modality of meditation that works best for you. Now, to reflect back on what Stephen just did with us, creating this space for us to explore our natural world, this actually can technically loosely be considered a form of meditation also, in the specific demonstration that we just did. But that is projecting outwards and experiencing and relaxing into the space as opposed to projecting inwards and relaxing into the body. And usually sometimes both, but with a relative space of recognizing that the body is part of our space, if that makes sense. So, the most important part of this slide is that to let you know that there are so many different forms of meditation. These are just 6 examples. And some of the ones that are less commonly known about are external meditations like alpha wave meditations like the total embodiment method, the Silva method. Martial arts technically would count in this realm. And of course, meditations where you don't sit still, like ecstatic dance, which is a form of trance meditation. So now that is a lot of information. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to come in and ask any questions about things that you might be confused about. And it's also okay if you're following me as well. I can just continue on. Well, that being said, I would really like to get within, like deep within the meat of what is important about meditation, which is, of course, the practices themselves. So let's see, where are we on time? Oh, okay, perfect. We're actually like excellently right on track. So, for our last 15 minutes or 10 minutes, and so we'll do some, questions at the end if you have any. I would really like to do a guided meditation with you all if you consent to that. And I would really like, especially with the forms of like mind mapping work that we've already done, which we have gone through within just today and within our session, we have already done adjacent forms of technical meditation where we have done visualization and mind mapping into a space with our previous courses, plural. And then we have also just done with Stephen a form of alpha wave meditation, which is relaxing into our natural environment and adding our physical body into this space. And so I think a very good complement to that would be an energy-based meditation, which is what I like to call my tree meditation, which I use very frequently with my group, the Cosmic Concordant. So the basic idea behind this is that we are going to envision ourselves as trees. And I will walk you through this so you don't have to think about it too much now. But we are going to combine the energy of our planet Earth and create some grounding within our bodies. And we will combine the energy of the cosmos from the top as well. So that way we can really create some balance within the energy spheres that we are currently inhabiting because we have so much grief and so much experience experiences happening through this spiral that I think that integration on a, metabolizing level is probably the most helpful within this space. So we are going to go ahead and begin. Feel free to keep your eyes open or close them. This is entirely up to you. But we're going to start with like a nice deep breath in and a slow breath all the way out. And to be clear, when we breathe all the way out, what I mean is that our lungs contract just a little bit, so that way we can activate our vagus nerve. Now, we're going to do this breath 2 more times. And breathing in and all the way out. And I'd like to remind you that there's no other goal other than getting that contraction on the outset. We're going to do this one last time, breathing in and breathing out. Very nice. Now, that by itself might give us just a little bit of a relaxation state. Now we can shift our focus from information to feeling. And what I would like us to do next is within our mind's eye, we are going to imagine a species of tree that resonates with you. And it can also be a tree that you invent entirely. Now, don't worry if you have aphantasia or if you struggle with visualization, because I have some workarounds for that. So I want you to know that you are included in this. So what we are going to do first is I would like you to imagine the roots of your tree as they sit underneath you, whether that is where you are sitting on the floor, the bed, the chair. And we are going to notice the roots that are underneath us, and we're going to follow them deeper and deeper into the earth, slowly but surely. Noticing the thickness of the roots, the texture of the bark, of the roots above ground, and pouring that attention into the roots as they move deeper and deeper into the ground and further out around us. Noticing the smell of the soil, the dampness, the rocks, pebble, and even the mycelium network that works beneath us, communicating, following the roots down as they taper and get smaller, smaller, and wind themselves down deep into the ground, further and further, and further. Following the roots. Looking for the nutrients and the water within the soil. Grounding us completely within Mother Earth, within our home planet. Feeling the energy of that mother, our origins, the dirty, gritty meat of it. Finding the nutrients all the way at the very tiny, spindly hairs of our root within the earth. Fully immersing ourselves within this space. The smell, the texture, the dampness and dryness, and settling into that space of nurturing, nutrient, earth energy, the denseness that exists beneath us in the ground and all around us. Within this space, I would like you all to take a nice deep breath in. And a slow breath all the way out. Relaxing into this space. Becoming familiar with the pressure of the earth. Grounding our excess energy to the space. And allowing the earth to feed on that kinetic, frenetic energy as well. Coming into relationship with this space underneath our feet in the ground where our roots are. Excellent work, everyone. Very, very nice. Now we are going to shift our focus, moving slightly up through those roots as we have moved all the way down and really fully gotten into relationship with the earth. Noticing the spindly parts of our root, the slightly thicker pieces of our roots, the mycelium network as it darts there, hither and thither, moving that energy from the earth up into our roots and through them, through the thicker and thicker parts of our roots, every part of them, coming up until they are just underneath our spines, our bodies, and moving up into the trunk of our tree, which is where we are. Our bodies, our spines, our legs, our torso, our arms, our necks and heads, noticing the combination, the relationship that takes, moving up this earth energy, bringing it up through our bodies, noticing the smell of the tree that we have chosen, the texture of the bark, perhaps the sap, the water, the energy moving through us as we move higher and higher through our full bodies, from our legs and torsos, our spine, to our arms, our necks, our heads, through the tops of our heads, moving even further, pulling that earth energy up through our tree, up through our trunk, pulling and pulling. And it's okay if it feels heavy. It's meant to. Pulling it further and further above us, and moving into the thickest of our branches. Diverging into our largest branches, and diverging even further to our medium-sized branches. Pulling that earth energy all the way from underneath us, all the way up into these branches. Further and further into our smallest branches, our twigs, the buds of our tree, if there are any, and finally into the vestiges of our tree, the leaves, pine needles, the cones, flowers, whatever bits and bobs are there for you, and fully allowing that earth energy to embody the entirety of your tree, from roots to tips. And for a moment, we're going to sit with this feeling. And if you need to take a nice deep breath in and a slow breath out, you can do that, but it's optional. Just allow whatever comes. Experience your tree. Excellent work, everyone. Thank you for your pause. And now, to round out this experience of cycling our energy from the earth all the way up to the vestiges of our tree, I would like you to conceive of and notice the sun shining down, the energies of the cosmos, the sun, the moon, the energy of our solar system, our galaxy, our universe. Noticing that cosmic energy that often exists above us. I want you to imagine that energy as it pours down onto the vestiges of your tree, your leaves, your flowers, your pine needles, pine cones, whatever is there for you, allowing that space to photosynthesize, taking in that energy as it pours down, feeling that cosmic energy, noticing how it might feel a little bit different than what we were already working with. And if you're having a hard time imagining this, you can conceive of it as if it's warmth, coolness, tingling sensation. And as this energy pours down into our leaves, our tiny branches, our smaller branches, medium branches, larger branches, largest branches, pouring down, almost as if water, but light, energy, warmth, into the trunk of our tree above us, and pouring even further down into the tops of our heads, our necks, our torsos, our arms, our spine, our legs, base of our spine, our seat, and even further down to underneath us, into the roots. This cosmic energy pouring down from the cosmos into our roots, all the way through the entirety of our trees. Moving through the thickest parts of our roots, medium parts of our roots, through the soil, through the rocks and pebbles, noticing the smell, perhaps the kinetic energy, the smell of ozone as it pours further and further down into the smallest vestiges of our roots. And any excess into our Mother Earth, into our planet, and allowing that to just fully flow where it needs to be, completing the circuit, meeting heaven and earth within our bodies and our trees. And let's take a moment to notice that feeling. If it is intense, allow any excess to flow further into our earth. Take a nice deep breath in. And a slow breath all the way out. And we are going to start to come back. Now, of course, you can come back to this space anytime you'd like. This technique is a gift to you. But we are going to come back. Now, we've already taken our breath. So I'd like us to notice with our physical body any sounds in our general vicinity. Coming back into our physical bodies, back into our physical reality. Noticing any sounds around you. people speaking in another room, sounds like cars driving on a highway through an open window. Noticing if the sounds are quiet or loud. Next, noticing any smells in your general vicinity, such as the scent of incense or a candle safely burning. And to do that, taking in a nice deep breath, relaxed, releasing it naturally. Next, I'd like us to notice the structure underneath us, physical sensations on our bodies, such as the fabric of our clothing on our skin, the structure of the chair, bed, floor. Feeling into our physical reality and our physical bodies again. Next, I would like us to open and close our hands gently, really coming back into our physical body. And this is optional, but if you would like to, you can do a stretch with me by bringing your arms slowly up from your sides, all the way up, feeling into our physical bodies, all the way up to the ceiling, and then stretching our upper backs, our mid backs, and our necks and heads, up, 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 as high as we can, wherever is comfortable. Taking in a nice deep breath in, and on the release, bringing our arms back down slowly to our sides. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Now, I really hope that this has been helpful to you. This act of grounding I felt was very needed after all of the emotional upheaval that we have intentionally been creating to process in the space. And I really hope that this technique will have a holistic form for you. And of course, please feel free to use it within your practice. It is a gift. So I really hope that you can use it in the future.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to turn it over to, oh, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Yuri and also to Stephen if they have anything that they would like to say, since I know we are quite a bit over time.
No, we're actually okay. We have 5 minutes, and Stephen, if you want to share anything, thank you both for this journey.
Thank Yeah, no, that's lovely. Thank you, Rose. And I was even thinking we've sort of got this sense of being in the ground with this the tree and the roots and everything. So maybe also could invite where those roots were finding the water that might be
Mm,
trying to find its way, and maybe the
absolutely.
if there's any of your stuff or grief or anything else dissolved in that water, went into the tree, it's welcome to do it, or flowed away to the rivers or the lakes or whatever it did. So there's an interesting multi-scale thing going on here. So there's a lovely. So thank you, and yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, I think this is a kind of a space to just be with everything. So if there's something that in all of that being, rather than doing, we just be with that. If there's anything that surfaces that anyone wants to share about their stuff or something that connects to the previous stage,
Yes, please.
then feel free. But if not, that's also good. But it's just, Ilaria or anyone else's work from before, how that set things up. Maybe there's a little bit of that still percolating. But the chances are, as I say, if it's not going to be in words, then it might not be easy to articulate. And that's not what it's
That's
about.
okay
So
too.
yeah. So anyone want to say anything, give any sharings or anything before, and I'll pass it over to Yuri, or is it all?
I just want to say thank you for doing this. I feel I really needed it after, like you said, Rose, like after all these things. I feel it's so needed to just land and feel peace. So thank you.
I'm so glad.
Thank you.
It's interesting, like like I said, like I do meditations somehow, but I also have a challenge. So I come in and I come out, because I get into out and in modalities. So I see the tree, and then I see my messages, and then like it's all very intense and moving between the dimensions. Yeah, there is something about and I appreciated that there's different modalities, and there is also a multimodality, like moving between the modalities somehow, of just being present and just also being aware that there is nothing about the way that we live our life right now and how it's designed that helps us, that facilitates that almost. So it's
This is
almost
why I
like
do what I do.
so it's yeah, you kind of need to bring yourself into it, because everything, from your phone to it's designed to grab your attention to something, to somewhere that is not here and now. So yeah, this is what came to me. And the oak.
I love that. An oak is a great choice.
Leanne raised her hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize the value of the practice of being pulled in and out of that presence. For me, that's the practice. It's not the presence, but it's the practice of being able to come back after being pulled out. And that repetition is what helps me to be in discomfort and then realign myself so I feel grounded again.
I love that. I actually feel very similarly about meditation because when you do it enough, and of course, you don't have to stick with a single modality. You can do a bunch of different ones, but when you do it enough, like I do with a lot of different kinds, you start to get very familiar with how the inside of your brain feels when you are doing different things like presence or visualization, and so it makes it easier to drop into those states when you're not already there, if that makes sense. So,
Yes, it does. And what I'd like to say is that the embodiment of self, however you get there, is the way, especially when you're using nature as reconnecting with nature. So in this moment, I feel fully embodied in a way that I haven't, that I do after I do like an hour of meditation, and it's not been an hour. So I was like, yes. And I live with trees, and there's an apple tree that's been telling me that it needs some fertilizer, some food, you know, and I've been like, okay, okay, okay. But as I was dropping my roots down, yeah, I felt the tree nourishing me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I promise I'll get you some fertilizer. Yeah, and so this piece of embodiment is where we can drop into so that we can find our active hope and we can do our liberation. But this is the body, this is the self-awareness, the social location of your life, our lives. My life is where my body is. It's no place else. So if I can come into my body and drop from the mind into the body, open the heart, that's the place in my mind that the great turning starts to happen. So there's the promise of the great turning. And to get to that promise of a just world where there's equality and we're not in this madness of buy, 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 spend, 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 war, 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 is to have an embodiment practice. So I don't know about you all, but I feel calmed, I feel centered, I feel empowered. And the promise of the great turning is turning the arrow of justice towards the web of life where everything can be appreciated. And the only place that it's unappreciated is in the mind. So if we could come and drop into the body and expand the heart for compassion for ourselves, for the grief that we feel in the world, and then open to that ancient love power for life.
The prima materia. I feel very strongly that these embodiment experiences and these states of altered perception that are put into spaces where we can do them, if not daily, at minimum weekly, because this is something that we do to reconnect, not necessarily just to ourselves, but also to each other. And because essentially, especially with this specific meditation, consider the fact that we are all trees at the same time, which makes us a forest. What also is happening is that at the very base of these trees, where the roots are, there's mycelium. So we are connected at all times, whether we are pretending or feeling like trees or not. Human beings are having that same experience, but it is a requirement for us to be able to tap into it, to feel it, because we exist in this mental space where we create this illusion of separation. But we are connected, much like the trees. And I am very, very grateful and happy to be part of this forest with all of you.